All right, today we're going to cover slides 53 to 63. Make sure you're taking notes. You can use lined paper or a notebook. Okay, so today we're going to talk about a couple different relationships. The first relationship you're probably very familiar with, that's the predator-prey relationship. So in a predator-prey relationship, there is an animal that is doing the hunting. So it has to be an animal that hunts for its food. So that would be the predator, while the animal being hunted is called the prey. So in these two pictures, you can write these down in your notes if you need to. Identify the predator and identify the prey. So for this picture, you should have said the bear is the predator, the fish is the prey, the hawk is the predator, and the rodent is the prey. So not all predators are always big animals. The spider here would be the predator, and not all predators are always bigger than their prey. This lion is obviously much smaller than the giraffe, but it's still considered the predator. The second type of relationship that we're going to talk about today is something called a mutually beneficial interaction. So there's a few different examples of this. So let's just break down these words real quick. Mutual means both parties. Beneficial means to get something good from it. Interactions. So, meaning both species are getting something positive from this interaction. So, they both are benefiting. So, previously we talked about competition and predator prey. And in those relationships, only one organism benefited and the other one suffered. But in mutually beneficial interactions, both organisms benefit from the interaction. So, an example of that would be the oxpecker who is on the back of the hippo. The hippo is basically benefiting because the oxpecker is eating ticks or other parasites off the back of the animal. So the hippo is benefiting because it's having those parasites being removed, but the oxpecker is also benefiting because it is getting food. So they're both benefiting. This video here we'll see on Edpuzzle later. So another type of mutualism, which we probably don't really think about, is pollination. This one's really important because 75% of all of our flowering plants are pollinated by animals such as bees. So I'm sure you've heard in the news about how bees are having colony collapse, meaning colonies of bees are disappearing. So this number would significantly decrease. Most of the food that we get from farms are pollinated by bees, so that would be something that we will talk about a little bit more. I'll show you an Edpuzzle on that later. Okay, but pollination is essential for all of these plants' survival, and it represents an important type of mutually beneficial relationship. So how do they both benefit? Well, the animals, like the bees, are receiving nutrition because they're getting nectar and pollen. And the plant is benefiting because the plant is being pollinated. So both species is benefiting. Okay, this is an interesting type of mutualism. You don't hear about this as much. This is one of those like rare cases. It's called obligate mutualism. So to be obligated to something means like you're being held to it. So an obligate mutualism is basically these two species have evolved so much that they depend on each other to survive. They're obligated towards each other. So if one disappeared, so would the other. So what this example is the yucca tree and the yucca moth. So basically these guys have evolved over time that they can only exist with each other. So the yucca tree, for example, is only pollinated by the yucca moth. And the yucca moth also lays eggs inside the flower, and the larvae are able to eat some of the seeds as they develop. So without the yucca moth, the yucca tree would die because it would not be pollinated. Without the yucca tree, the yucca moth would have no method for development of the larva. Okay, coral reef, that'll be something we'll do at another time, possibly. All right, so let's go over a couple answers. Pause if you need to write these down. Which animal would be considered the prey? And that would be B7. 14. Predator-prey interactions result from animals trying to meet their needs for shelter. Is that true or false? And that would be false. It's meeting their needs for food. 15. In a mutually beneficial interaction, is it both organisms are harmed? One organism is harmed while the other benefits? Both organisms benefit? Or one organism benefits while the other experiences no impact? So in mutually beneficial interactions, the answer would be C, both organisms benefit. So please write that down. Okay. 16. Some flowers are shaped so that only the beak of a specific hummingbird can reach to the bottom to pollinate the flower. For this flower, the mutually beneficial interaction can be described as, so meaning there's only one species that can pollinate this flower. The answer is going to be A, obligate. We are going to stop there. If you need to fix up your notes, draw any pictures, any doodles, that'd be great. And then go to the exit slip.